Let's talk protein and endurance athletes. Hi, I'm Coach Christina, and a really common question I get is, what about protein? How much should I take? When do I need it? Do I really need this much protein? I'm plant-based, what do I do? So let's break down protein today. So yes, as an endurance athlete, you do need protein. You need protein to repair your muscles, to rebuild and regrow those muscles. Protein is needed for muscle protein synthesis. Then in addition, if you're peri to postmenopausal, so if you're right before menopause, through menopause, you're gonna have either fluctuating sex hormones or low to no sex hormones, and you need to really emphasize getting enough protein because you need that for muscle protein synthesis. So you have an even greater need to make sure that you're getting in that protein. So as an endurance athlete, you don't need tons and tons of protein, but you do need adequate protein. So research tells us that endurance athletes need 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram body weight. So just go ahead and convert your body weight to kilograms, take your pounds, divide it by 2.2, that comes up with how many kilograms you weigh. And so just take 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram, and that's the recommended dose for an endurance athlete. If you are a strength athlete or someone that's lifting heavier or you're needing additional protein, you can go up to say 2 grams per kilogram, but typically 2 is kind of where, you don't really need to go above 2. And then I'd say at least that 1.2 is kind of like my low end for you guys as athletes. So once you have figured out what your protein is for the day, I want you to make sure that you are spacing it out throughout the day. I don't want you to say front load and do all your protein in the morning or back load and do all your protein at night. I want you to have protein at every meal, every snack, unless you are right pre-workout. So say you are doing like a interval run or you're running hills or you have an FTP test on the bike. My goal is not for you to have, a substantial amount of protein before that workout because that can cause GI distress. You are fine to have that protein after your workout for recovery. But in general, my rule is spread it out throughout the day so you have a balanced protein at each and every meal. So when you are looking at your meals, it might be something like I'm having anywhere from 10 to 15 grams of protein as a snack to maybe 30 to 40 grams of protein at a meal. If you're in that peri to postmenopausal time frame, you're going to want to focus on having at least like 30 grams of protein post-workout, in a meal. That way that's going to stimulate that muscle protein synthesis. Okay, and so when you are thinking about your proteins, and you can think you're going to get your protein from both plant or animal-based proteins. Both are very beneficial. Both have value. Protein that comes from animals has typically has a more complete essential amino acid profile, where we have essential amino acids that we have to eat. We have to take it in from an exogenous source, so meaning we're taking it from outside into our body, and then there's amino acids that our body can create themselves. So animal proteins typically have a more complete profile, so you have less to worry about when you're consuming animals. If you are a plant-based athlete, that's totally great. You can hit all of your amino acids. If you make sure you're eating enough food that I'm not talking about really combining proteins. That's kind of an old topic that we figured out. You don't have to combine proteins anymore. But if you taken enough different proteins, you should be hitting that metabolic profile or amino acid profile, I should say, where you're going to hit all of those essential amino acids. And then, but if you are not a plant-based athlete and you will consume animal products, dairy has the best profile for you as an athlete because it contains the highest amount of leucine, which is a branched chain amino acid, and will stimulate muscle protein synthesis the best. So make sure if you're plant or animal based that you are shooting for enough proteins and different sources of protein to get that complete amino acid profile, and that way you are all set for your muscle growth. And then just a couple of myths that I hear a lot. Is protein going to cause harm to my kidneys? No, unless there is a pre-existing condition that you are aware of, or even if you're not aware of, you'll know that there's something going on, or you'll need to speak with your doctor, or if you've already been to the doctor. And in that case, you need to talk to a renal dietitian and your physician to make sure that you have an exact plan for you as an athlete. That's a very common myth I hear, that too much protein is bad for our kidneys, when as long as you have a functioning physiology and your body is working in order, you're going to be just fine. Okay, so don't worry about that. And then the other myth I do kind of get a lot of is, do I have to take an amino acid supplement, or can I get my protein in food? And the answer is, you can take an amino acid supplement. If you do, I would go for an essential amino acid supplement, because it has all of the essential amino acids versus just the branch chains. But it'd be cheaper and often easier to eat your food that contains the protein and the amino acids, so you don't have to spend the extra money on on that supplement, because you can get everything you need in the food. So if you guys have any questions, just put those questions below. I'd love to hear how you're doing, love to hear how everything's going, and have a great day and eat your protein.